Hello, my name is Frank. My job is with Senior Flexonics Pathway. I have worked for Senior Flexonics for around 9 years now, and I'm here to expose the company because they don't want to do anything to protect the workers. I'm gonna be dealing with unsafe work conditions that are threatening our health and our safety, nepotism, and just all around lies with the company. I don't want to do this. I feel I'm forced into it. I have sent several letters to the company and to the corporate whistleblowers hotline. My first email was sent to the company's whistleblower, well, not my first. My first serious one was sent to the company's whistleblower address to the company secretary on August 18th, 2014 at 12:18 a.m. My reply from corporate was on August 18th, 2014 at 4:04 a.m. They replied immediately telling me that they are currently investigating the New Braunfels plant. On December 11th of 2014, I was called into a meeting with two of the upper management people. I will not give their names, but I will give their initials, Mr. P.E. and Mr. C.A. And they called me into a meeting because they were a little upset about my complaint letters. We had a half an hour meeting. I recorded the entire meeting audio, which I had warned them in several emails I had sent to the company that anytime they call me into a meeting, I will record. So I recorded that conversation, and I do have the audio of that, and they made several excuses of trying to justify what they're doing, and I don't buy it. I do not buy what they're saying. Then on August 30th of this year, I sent a reply back to corporate and asking them how their investigation was going. I'm looking at my email right now. As of right now, they still have not replied back. On September 28th of 2015, I sent Mr. P.E. a letter addressing some serious safety concerns. I'm looking at my email right now. As of right now, I have no reply from him. The unit I was complaining about was one that had some rather harsh chemicals in them. This is a sample of the chemicals. Now, the company may say that I'm stealing from them by taking a sample of the chemicals they throw away, but I feel if they're willing to let me breathe all I can and take home in my lungs, then there's no problem with me taking a little sample home. Because if anything happens to me, I want my wife to be able to protect herself. All these are from that one unit. The material safety data sheet, it explains that this creates an airborne dust, and the people working on it and around it should be protected with full body suits and fresh air respirators because it is a cancer causing agent. The reason I sent Mr. P.E. that letter on September 28th was to find out if he was going to do anything to protect the rest of the workers, including his own brother that works in that area. And I have received nothing on it. That unit got cut apart. Second shift, they didn't even give them the material safety data sheet on it. Those poor guys worked on it without any kind of proper protective equipment all night. The next day, the guys working on it, they asked for the PPE. They asked for the material safety data sheet, and it cost some money, but the company did go out and buy the stuff for those two particular workers so they could be protected by this. The rest of us, we're not protected. That dust carries everywhere. The doors are open and it blows everywhere. So it is a cancer-causing agent, and they don't want to do anything. They don't want to reply. That meeting, Mr. P.E. called me in with Mr. C.A. They explained to me, Mr. P.E. said if I have any problems or concerns, just to talk to him. Well, I sent him a letter. He said he would reply back. He hasn't done anything. In the company handbook, it states that the company should reply back in kind, whether it's email or verbal. They should reply back within 5 working days. There is no communication with this company. they're risking people's lives with this kind of stuff. And I try and talk to them. Our plant director, I would like to talk to him, but I have no trust in him because he put out a letter, and I have a copy here, on January 21st at 2009, and
Stop. It turned off.
Turn it on.
Okay.
Is it recording? Okay. Our plant director put out an email that said if they do not have a full shift of work, any person or team must send them home early. And if the supervisor on that second shift cannot get things under control, that he will keep sending work to Brazil, Mexico, and the UA and reduce the entire workforce to 8 hours or less. So in other words, what our plant manager was saying, if one person he put in position of authority cannot do his job, he is willing to punish the other 200 people in the plant that do work, that are working. Not all of them work. There are lazy people, and there's a bunch of them. Most of them are related or friends of management. Those are our dead weight. And he added in this, as I travel the world, it is so obvious and glaring that we no longer work as hard as we should as a society. We now want more and more while working less and less. The country cannot afford this anymore. Our company cannot afford this anymore. In other words, that's his way of calling us lazy Americans. So by this little letter he sent out in 2009, I don't trust the man, because if I do something wrong, he might punish my co-workers. I watched a news article the other day. Blue Bell Ice Cream was going back in business. They had a listeria problem. 10 people got sick. 3 people died. There were 2 employees talking about how they knew what had been going on for years. Yet, they chose to ignore it. They told management. Management told them to quit complaining. Kind of like Mr. P.E. and Mr. C.A. did when they called me into that meeting I recorded. They made me feel like they were threatening my job in that meeting. Mr. P.E. asked me if there was anything else I wanted to talk about in that meeting. I told him no, because I felt like I was being ganged up on by 2 college-educated people. I am not college-educated. I'm not as swift as they are on discussing things. I was not prepared. They were prepared for their meeting. They had their files. They had everything. I was called in off the work floor while I was working to have this meeting. So when they call me in to a meeting unprepared, I cannot battle them. They can't give any kind of warning. Mr. C.A. here recently got a promotion within the company, and he's transferred out of our plant to another plant. And when he found out his promotion, the company decided to throw a barbecue steak dinner for him. And they had New York strip steaks. I don't go to those things. If they cannot afford raises, if they cannot afford anything they promise us, I do not want to eat their steaks. I feel they should not be able to afford steaks if they cannot afford to pay their people right. And during that meeting, everybody told me that Mr. C.A. was talking about how the last couple years have been record profit years. I believe they said this year it was somewhere around $80 million to $85 million they made. Record profits. Yet, with their record profits, they put out a note like this, that there will be no reviews and no raises this year. And they'll be notified of any changes in early 2016 as the business climate becomes clearer. And this is no way to treat people when they bust their tails. They give up their weekends, they give up their mornings, their nights, they come in early, they stay late, and they earn money for the company to make record profits, and the company can't do anything for them. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the rest of the people. I'm not going to sit around, I'm not going to watch my co-workers die of chemical poisoning because the company is too cheap to take care of us. There are plenty of options they could have done with that. I'm not college educated, but I know how they could have done that without endangering anybody. But they chose to ignore me, and I'm very tired of it. They, in the recording, Mr. PE and Mr. CA, they both agreed that our rules are not fair and even across the board. They say flat out that it's on a case-by-case, pick-and-choose basis how the rules are applied. I broke my leg several years back, and I had to have titanium screws and a titanium rod put in it. When I got released to full duty, my doctor advised me to walk with a cane for 6 months or so. I was still released, full duty, but the company told me for safety issues, I was not allowed to use my cane. And I needed my money. I was about to lose my home, and I didn't want to lose my home. So I put my cane down, and I bit the pain, and I did it. As I was working, the screws in my ankle broke. I had to walk with a broken leg. It stayed straight, and I walked for months. I think it was 2 or 3 months. I can't remember. I've got it all in my journals. And I was in extreme pain. I would take 5 Oxycontins at once while on the shop floor just to dull the pain a little bit as I made it by until I got enough vacation to take a month off to get the second surgery and get it fixed. Had they let me use my cane, I feel the screws would have never broken my ankle, and I would have never had to go through that. I was in excruciating pain for the longest time. Even after the surgery, I was in pain. And then after the major pain let up, I still hurt for over a year trying to learn how to walk. All because they chose not to let me use a cane on the shop floor. They said it was too dangerous. I have a friend. He's a welder. He works there. He also had a motorcycle accident. He also was messed up very badly. They told him he was not allowed to use a cane. So he did not use a cane. He had the time, the money, and everything else. He could take the time off to heal properly. So he was fortunate in this, and it didn't damage him so much. Now, we had a shipping clerk, supervisor, and she was trained on a sit-down forklift, Mrs. Penny M. And during these forklift trainings, when they train you on a sit-down lift, when you get done, they explain that you're only qualified on that one particular lift. It's every training class I've ever been on forklift, they explain this to you. It's OSHA. And she got on a stand-up forklift that she was not qualified, certified, or authorized to operate. She did not know what she was doing, and she hurt herself pretty bad by what I understand. And the company blamed the design of the forklift on the accident. It was not the design of the forklift. I've worked around those forklifts for years, and the only way people get hurt on those is out of stupidity or ignorance. And I'm not going to say which one it was with her, because I do not know. But after her accident, I did see her on the shop floor with crutches a couple of times. I saw her on the shop floor with a cane several times. And I did complain to the company about this. I want things to be fair. And they explained to me that since she was on a workers' comp claim and I got hurt off the job and the other welder got hurt off the job, then she was allowed to use her cane. And they gave me about 3 or 4 excuses on it. I do have it in the recording. And we got nowhere in that meeting. She got to use her cane all she wanted. Well, we have another supervisor, Mr. J.S., and he recently shattered his ankle at home, off the job. When he came back, he had a little scooter. His leg was propped up, the scooter was on the floor, and he was doing it one-legged, scooting around. I have several pictures of him in work areas where if something were to give way, he could have blocked someone from running out, and he actually put other people in danger by being out there. It wasn't just dangerous to himself, it was dangerous to other people. Now he has a little peg leg thing. Still, he's out in the work areas. He should not be, at least by what Mr. P.E. explained to me in that recording I've got. I believe I was lied to in the recording. They were just trying to cover their tracks, and and get me to get upset and go off on them. Well, I did not get upset. I stayed as calm as I could. I recorded the conversation and I went home. Mr. JS hired his son in. His son there worked there for over a year. There have been people there that want to move up and they cannot move up. His son moved up within a few months to a supervisory position on second shift. His son did so much damage, and I have journals. This is a journal. This is a journal with all kinds of information in it. I keep track of everything, almost daily entries, because almost daily things happen. This is another journal of mine. I didn't finish the whole journal, but most of it is done. This is just letters I printed up from my email in case I lost my email. Things that have happened. I mean, we've got, here we go. Here's what they hang up on the door. This is a picture of our plant director. And I met with overtime maybe. I don't know. There's a dozen of these. They have no respect for the man. I have no respect for the man. I talked to him one time at my best friend's funeral, and the man had no respect for me. He would not look me in the eye when he talked to me. I'm a big believer in you look me in the eye. This is a sample from another chemical. This chemical was more of a liquid, and I touched it. I didn't think anything of it. I don't remember if I washed my hands or not, but the very next day I was talking with one of the welders that was working on it, and he explained to me that there is a material safety data sheet for this. He didn't happen to have it. The company is very good about hiding material safety data sheets. Our safety man, when we get concerned, he tells us that material safety data sheets are very confusing and very hard to read. I have been trained in safety over the years, and I understand a material safety data sheet, and when it says you need a fresh air supply, that means you do not breathe the chemicals in there. That's another example. I do not have the MSDS, but again, if the company is willing to let me absorb this through my skin, they should not have a problem with me taking a rag that our safety person put gloves on and wiped this up from the floor and threw it in the garbage. So I got it and I put it in a bag and I brought it home in case something happens to me, in case I'm contaminated. My wife has evidence. I have a box right here. There is so much stuff in here. This is one of my favorites. I've got January 28th, 2013. I can't remember the date of this. It's in my journal somewhere. This was when I first started. This was a chemical spill we had in the sandblast. And I believe it was either 6 or 8 55-gallon drums of sand we took out with this chemical mix in it. We could not throw it away because it was a toxic chemical, even though it was safe for me to get in there and do it by hand. It's a toxic chemical that we cannot throw away. So we put it in those drums and we set it under an awning, and it sat there in those drums for years. And then we got a safety lady. I cannot remember her name. We go through so many safety people there. She took a sample off the very top of it, sent it in, had it analyzed. They said there's nothing wrong with it. It's just sand, no problem. And so she threw it away. They had us dumping it. Well, as you get to the bottom of those barrels, that's where your chemical is. She did not do a fair analysis of this. She did it the easy way. She cheated. And that's okay, because that's what the company likes. They like a safety person that will turn their back to safety. Just like Mr. CB, our current safety person. I have tried to talk to him about safety, and he ignores me. He ignores other people. He makes excuses for ignorance and stupidity. Or he tries to turn it around and blame other people for it. I've got filters. I've got more. I mean, but if they, again, like all this, if they're willing to let me breathe it and take it home in my lungs, I see no problem with me bringing a sample home. If I get arrested or fired for stealing, that's fine. I'm not going to watch any of my friends or co-workers die. The nepotism there. Oh, here's a good one. I make notes almost daily. So on the 28th of this month, I got home from work. I got immediately on my computer and I started typing a letter. And the title of this letter is "Somebody is Going to Get Hurt." Okay? I emailed it to myself. I always do that. Timeline, I got a time and a date stamp. I make my record, I email it to myself. I cannot change my records. So what I say is what I say, and it's the truth, and I cannot change it. The very next day I got to work and found out that night someone got hurt. The someone that got hurt happens to be a friend or a family member. I don't know the relation of Mr. J.S. And this man is lucky to be alive. He's a nice guy. I like the guy, but he is not qualified to do the job they were doing. They were testing a unit. The unit had to be up to 62 pounds of pressure. They were only up to around 20, 25 pounds by what I understand. The individual in question that's related to Mr. J.S. was on top of the unit, beating it with a hammer and a wedge, trying to get it to seal when it blew. He lost his hearing that night. I do not know if they took him to the clinic. I don't know what they did. The next day I saw the gentleman in question and I started talking to him. He told me I would have to speak louder. He couldn't hear me. And I almost had to yell for him to hear me. This man had probably wound up with permanent hearing damage from this. And all because the company wants to rush. They are in so much of a hurry, they will not put qualified people on this stuff. I am scared to work there anymore. I feel I'm in a hostile work environment ever since I got called into that meeting with Mr. P.E. I sent that letter to Mr. P.E. about these chemicals the other day. The only thing he said to me since is he came up to me one day and he said, "I want to get your side of the story before this goes any further." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You loaned out your ID badge. I heard you loaned out your ID badge." I said, "No, sir, I did not loan out my ID badge. There was an employee that had business in the office and I let him in like I've done for years. All of us do that. Is there a problem with this?" He just turned around and walked off. He would not address any of the safety concerns I had, but he was worried about me loaning out my ID badge. I don't get the significance. I don't get the importance of loaning out an ID badge when they're risking people's lives with chemical exposures. And like I say, I've been collecting information on this company for years. Ever since I saw them screw my best friend over and they fired him for nothing. He slammed a cart into a toolbox. I have the information on that. He slammed a cart into a toolbox. That's all. Put a dent in the toolbox. He got fired. He got disinvited from the company Christmas party. And I helped him. I got online and I battled our HR director, Mrs. KK. And my friend got his job back. He got his benefits back because they violated their own safety rules. They violated their own policies. This book is in mint condition. I have not destroyed this book. I read this book. And the company does not understand that. It's in very good condition. And they do not follow their own rules. Like Mr. P.E. explained to me, it's a pick and choose situation, case by case basis, which I believe should be illegal. I believe it is illegal. And I can prove everything I'm saying. And I have gone to government agencies, I have gone to federal agencies, I've gone to state agencies, I've gone everywhere I could go, and basically what I'm told is I have to be sick, dying of cancer, or dead before they can do anything. We've had 2 safety people quit and call OSHA on us. Now that's bad when your own safety person quits and calls OSHA on you because they can't do anything about it. And OSHA came out, nothing has changed. Had something changed, had something happened, I wouldn't be here today. I don't feel I can trust OSHA. After I put out this video, after this video goes on YouTube, I will contact OSHA. I will contact TNRCC. I will contact the EPA. I will contact every agency I can because I don't want to see my friends that I work with die. I don't want to die. This job is not worth my life. I'm scared to work there. Extremely hostile work environment. I will still go back Tuesday. I'm on vacation from Friday till Monday. Tuesday I go back to work. If they don't fire me, I will do the best job I can, just like I've done for the past 9 years. But these people have to wake up. They have to start doing what's right. They can't keep playing these games to line their own pockets with money to keep us from getting anything. Mr. JS, for weeks now, has been putting out rumors that he's going to do some layoffs. He's going to get rid of dead weight. Well, he is the most dead weight in the entire factory, and he doesn't see it. Now they've announced no raises. Now they've announced they're cutting overtime. So they're going to starve the people. It's October. We're going into November in just a couple of days. And now the people aren't going to have overtime. Most of these people need it, especially this time of year. They have children. They want to buy a Christmas. They want to have good Christmas for their children. I know good workers, hard workers that do very good jobs. They're looking for a new job right now. And I know that's what the company wants. They want to put these rumors out about massive layoffs. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. That way they can make people quit. And that way they don't have to do a layoff. They will not have to pay unemployment. They will not have to deal with any hassle. The employees just quit. They cut down their workforce, trim it down, no fuss, no muss. Well, I'm not that stupid. I may not be out college educated like these people, but I see the game they're playing. And they play it every year. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. They need to treat the people right. They need to make sure we're safe. We make $80 million for them. We work. We bust our tails. They do nothing but sit there and run us down. Mr. JS, when he started, I was on a swing shift, and he came to the swing shift for a week or so. And he called me out a door one day, and he sat there for about 10 or 15 minutes, and he told me just exactly how stupid, ignorant, and lazy he felt me, my boss, and my entire department of maintenance were. And he ran me down in every way he could, and my department. And I took that personally. I took that extremely offensive. I wanted to do something about it. I sent a letter to our HR director. She did nothing. She ignored it. They ignore everything. This man can cuss us out. He can do anything he wants. He can threaten whatever. And nothing happens to him. He's untouchable. And they're playing way too many games. This is not right what they're doing. There's so much. There is so much I would love to get out. I can't get it all in one short little video. I'm going to cut for right now, and I'm going to think for a few minutes, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to splice it together, and then I'm going to put it on YouTube. So I'll be back.